Ayaw. Whenever it.
That's it.
Yeah, I said whenever it.
Ayo. Ayo.
Wajan.
Tiene sasa siana kuza lapa. Auone mafume. Hey, kaka.
The mama extra life now.
Wakati nafuna kujibali.
What to me the mama extra? What to me? This mic was on in by Dr. Yangwang.
Tunakuwa show mpa. Pali wenyewe.
Ngivalele la mama ex onke. Mama ex ngifuna ngivalele wona. Akhona.
Solo yangena. Ngena ngilanga
Sulangene lama betul.
Sistem prestacja UPS. Sistem prestacja UPS mana estatus tadi di
Abajjati. I know, understood.
No, it's not yours. Bishop.
USB
you know what's on my mind. It's been 7 long years. Now the laughter's turned to tears. Baby, what's become of us? I thought our love was strong enough. Back to love where we started from. Come back to love where we belong. Back to love where we started from. Back to love where we both come from. Back to love where we belong. You say I'm never there for you. To do the things I promised to. Baby, there is no excuse. Your love I don't wanna lose. So baby, I apologize. Come here, baby, let me dry your eyes. I just wanna hold you tight. Make love till the morning light. Back to love where we started from. Back to love. from everything I've done, everything I said. I walk, I run, I swear to the sea. I fly like a bird, like the eagle with wings, and I fly to your arms, deep down inside, and I fly to your arms, 'cause you're my river of life. My river,
Can I call the meeting to order? The Honorable Minister of Health, Senator Liz Nkosi, Bantu Benkosi, Boba Betikhulu, honorable members of both houses of parliament present, the UNAIDS country director, the US ambassador to the Kingdom of Eswatini, the EU ambassador to the Kingdom of Eswatini, the UK High Commissioner, Nature Council and Management, senior government officials, recipients of care, people living with disability, civil society partners, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. How are we feeling? When adults don't respond, I'm not sure how to interpret. Whether they're here or they're still thinking of other things. I request that we start our program of this important launch. My name is Rejoice Nkambule. I'm Deputy Director, Public Health in the Ministry of Health, and I'll be directing the program this morning. So we all have the programs and we are going to be following it. And I request that we all cooperate and be able to take through our program. I will ask that we have Margaret Jane open our event with a word of prayer. She's at this table. I'm not sure whether she'll use this mic or another microphone. Okay, she'll come there. Okay, Margaret Jane.
Sesingathandaza. Can we pray? Ekuseni babethu lencwele, ekuseni nimandla wonke. Siyasonzela Nkosi phambi kwesihlalo sakho Nkosi semusa. Siletha Nkosi nalive lakithi lakangwane. Siletha nanga emaswati akithi Nkosi, sicela guidance, sicela protection. Ekuseni Nkosi nayi program lesembi kwethu, sinikele esandleni sakho. La Nkosi sibuka khona kuvikeleka kwemaswati, la sibuka khona impilo yemaswati. Hola Nkosi yonke le program wendele buhle Nkosi beligama lakho. Nang Minister Nkosi waka Health simnikele esandleni sakho konke Nkosi lokwendekako. Sicela protection, umnikete ne guidance, umnikete Nkosi nemasu lamahle kwenta tinhlelo tonke. Nebaka nature Nkosi basasebenta, umsebenzi wonke Nkosi ifunding Nkosi icela kuwe. Konke Nkosi lebakwendako sinikela esandleni sakho. Bahole Nkosi tovikelele emaswati egameni lakho Nkosi Phatha. Amen.
Thank you very much, Margaret Jane, for the prayer, and we can now start our program. Singoba i-AIDS letinye tifo nekubandlulula. That's the theme for our World AIDS Day that we have come to launch this morning. Together, ending AIDS, inequalities, and pandemics. So that's the theme. Remind your neighbor so that they don't forget what we're about. World AIDS Day. We do it every year, but just remind the neighbor that even now, we are reminding each other on World AIDS Day. So, at this juncture, may I invite Spesihle to come and do the item on the World AIDS Day in the context of Eswatini. Spesihle, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I am very honored to stand before you here today. I have been asked to fill very big shoes. I would like to extend my greetings to the Honorable Minister of Health, and thank you very much for gracing us with your presence today, development partners, Parliament, members of Parliament, and everyone who's here, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. We are launching World AIDS Day, the World AIDS commemoration today, in line with the theme, as the program director has rightfully said, that we are together in Eswatini ending AIDS, inequalities, and pandemics. In Siswati, we are saying, Singoba AIDS, letinye tifo nekubandlulula. So ladies and gentlemen, we know that World AIDS Day is an event that takes place on the 1st of December each and every year. So this is an opportunity, as we all know as partners, that we aim to raise awareness and advocate on issues around the HIV epidemic in different communities around the world, including Eswatini. So in the kingdom, rather in the world, the commemoration began in 1988, and in 1994, it was changed to become the World AIDS Campaign. So it was just a significance, of advocacy and information sharing on HIV and AIDS, and that it should continue year on year. So we know that World AIDS Day remains, relevant today as it has always been, which is also an opportunity just to remind people and governments that HIV has not gone away. So there's a critical need that still remains for increased funding, for the AIDS response, to increase awareness of the impact of HIV on people's lives, as well as to end stigma and discrimination, which still remains one critical area that we need to, focus on, as partners in the HIV response. For the Kingdom of Eswatini, if we bring it to the local context, we have been commemorating World AIDS Day since 1990. During the early years, those commemorations were held, between the Manzini-Mbabane corridor, because that is where most of the activity happened. If you remember that even government offices were not decentralized, early on. It was, service delivery happening in Mbabane, government offices being in Mbabane, and, and not all the other regions. But, things improved, and then government offices began to decentralize, as well as Nurture. Nurture also began to decentralize her offices, so now we are available in all the regions of the country. So this was an opportunity now for us also to, take the World AIDS commemorations to the other regions of the country, as we are doing currently, because soon after today's launch, we will be then, doing advocacy issues, information sharing platforms, with the general population, as well as target audiences for the year 2021. So the global theme for this year is End Inequalities, End AIDS, and Pandemics. And then we brought it to the local context of Eswatini, because we have a collective responsibility, as mandated by the King when he said, "I-HIV yindzaba yethu sonke," bringing the collective responsibility for all eMaswati to stand together, with galvanized efforts in order to end this pandemic. So currently we know that we are dealing with two pandemics, being AIDS and COVID-19. So in the Eswatini context, rather, we said together we are ending AIDS, inequalities, pandemics. And then for Siswati, like mentioned earlier on, Singoba AIDS, letinye tifo nekubandlulula. The hashtag, we've decided to use a hashtag for young people, because we also want, to include them, because we have seen that they are lagging behind in terms of information, and they are not taking, HIV services as much as we would love for them to. So we have a hashtag, Ending AIDS Together. So this hashtag is going to be used in digital platforms, on social media by young people. It also helps to just follow track, on events happening around World AIDS commemoration. So we also have, a beautiful initiative funded by SADC that we're doing with Limco Queen in order to advance, HIV issues in the digital space. So this is part of, we want to actually merge these two initiatives so that, young people take up HIV services. So some of the objectives, I'm not going to mention all of them, but we have a couple of objectives in line with the ending inequalities, one of the guiding areas around the theme. We want to sensitize persons with disability with information and just to mobilize them on the uptake of HIV services. So this is one critical area where, persons with disabilities have been, lagging behind in terms of information, and yet they are the most vulnerable, also, issues of gender-based violence, are vile on persons with disability. So if they are not, impacted and actually informed on HIV issues and HIV service uptake, then we still have that gap, the issue of key populations, the issue of PLHIV, so we are trying to just, close that kind of gap, inequalities gap between these, focus groups. So this year, pretty much, I can say just the overall, objective of this campaign is to actually look, at inequalities, zoom in and, try to close those gaps. So as we are launching today, we are launching also on our virtual platforms in line with COVID-19 regulations, which discourage the gathering of people in large numbers. So we are on our social media platforms. We're on YouTube. So maybe this is an opportunity to just greet everyone on our YouTube platform. We did see that we already have a number of people who are joining us there. I think the number is going up to 20 now. So we just appreciate everyone that is actually following us on our social media, which is what the work will do this year due to the COVID-19 situation. We anticipate a fourth wave, which will come probably later on in the year. So we do not want to expose people as we, gather for these commemorations. So the regional events will be held in line with COVID-19 regulations. So we are going to start in Lubombo. So for the duration of the month of November, we will be doing the walk commemorations leading now to the 1st of December. So we are in the Lubombo region on the 12th November, where we are targeting men aged 24 and above. Because the critical issue around the Lubombo region is that there are new infections amongst adolescent girls and young women due to intergenerational sex perpetrated through cross-border trucks. You know that the Lubombo region has cross-border, there's sugar going on, and there's a lot of, import and export happening there. So the recent HIV infection survey has identified a number of Tinkhundla, of which Lubombo is one of where there are Tinkhundla that have the highest, incidence when we speak of new HIV infections. So we are going to be at Lukongolweni in Nkundla on the 12th November in the Lubombo region. And then on the 17th of November, we're going to be in the Shiselweni region at Sandleni in Nkundla, where we are going to be talking with people living with HIV. So they're going to be sharing their experiences, with us, how COVID-19 has affected service delivery in Shiselweni, and all those kinds of issues and testimonies from people living with HIV, how it has been service delivery, and all of that, how they have been affected, by COVID-19. So, and then we will move to Manzini region on the 26th of November, where we are going to be at UNESWA Gwaluseni campus. So the target audience for the Manzini region is just, tertiary students around, rather in the region. So we are going to be talking to university and college students in the Manzini region, just to increase, rather, information and service uptake, art dispensation. We're going to be speaking about sex work, which is vile in the tertiary space due to, lack of allowances at some point and poverty, and all of those issues such as intergenerational sex, lack of youth-friendly services, in some campuses in the country. So we are going to be sort of focusing on that for the Manzini region. And then coming to the main event, which is the 1st of December, we are going to commemorate World AIDS Day in the Hoho region on the 1st, and the proposed venue is Buhleni town. So you will recall that we have been, for the commemorations, we have been in the different Tinkundla in the other, regions. So, but for the main day, we are going into a town, just sort of to get into the urban space as well, because that is what we are doing in the HIV response, is that as much as we, the HIV response is centered also, in communities, but we also want to, penetrate the urban space so that no one is left behind, we have been doing. So that is basically what is going to happen for this year's WACWAD in the context of Eswatini. So we just want to invite every one of you, every partner, to be with us, to join us in these commemorations. And, as we move around the country, trying to galvanize members of all sectors of society, you will know that ending AIDS is a reality, and ending AIDS is going to happen as mandated by His Majesty, that we should end AIDS by 2022. And we think we think we are on the right track of actually ending AIDS by 2022. And 2022 is not far off. It's just only next year. So we just, encourage all sectors of society to take up the responsibility collectively together. Like these two people on this banner, they are, trying to collectively end AIDS together. So that is what we can say perhaps about the WACWAD in the context of the Kingdom of Eswatini. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Spesihle, for that overview of what is going to happen in the World AIDS campaign, World AIDS Day in Eswatini. There are so many dates you said and so many venues and where the World AIDS Day would be. I feel like running a test and seeing if people were listening. But now we compete with the social media because some people are on their phones. Whether they are recording the dates, I'm not sure. They are, yes, okay. So that is very interesting. I have one announcement. RSD, a vehicle, RSD 678BH, your lights are on. You've been asked to go and attend to the lights. Honorable Minister, Excellencies, distinguished guests, we continue with our program on the launch of this great work that will be done in November, as has been outlined. At this stage, may I invite Emmanuel Ndlangamandla, the Congo Director, to come and outline the role of civil society in ending AIDS. Let's welcome him.
This event, Honorable Minister of Health, Principal Secretary, and all the government officials, Excellencies, the ambassadors that are present, UN representatives, Nature Director and your team, civil society, and private sector representatives, allow me to say all protocol observed. We are pleased to be part of this auspicious occasion when our kingdom is launching the World AIDS Day 2021. The event has been held for many years annually, and it provides a unique opportunity where the country and all sectors are mobilized to play their role in HIV, guided by a well-established call, AIDS Yinzaba Yethu Sonke. The customized theme for Eswatini Together Ending AIDS, Inequality and Pandemics, Singoba AIDS, letinye tifo nekubandlula, #Ending AIDS Together is indeed timely and relevant for what 2021. We all know that the global community has been overwhelmed by COVID-19 pandemic that has devastated health systems, human lives, and livelihoods. It has exposed fragilities of states and global systems. It has exposed deep inequalities between countries, rich, poor, and developing, and amongst general population, widening the gap between the rich and poor. It has undermined human rights, especially for the vulnerable groups, including people with disabilities, those living with HIV and AIDS, key populations, to mention a few. We would like to applaud the country that has, through political commitment at highest level, mobilized all sectors of society, including the most affected, such as adolescents and young girls, to achieve the 95 targets ahead of global schedule. This is a country that at one point was the worst affected, but has proved that together we can end AIDS. Civil society efforts in Eswatini and globally have been critical to overcome many of the major challenges in the AIDS response. Networks of people living with HIV and AIDS, organizations of key populations, the non-governmental organizations, community-based organizations, and faith-based communities deliver life-changing services to those most affected and provide support for adherence to treatment, prevention, and other essential services. The involvement of civil society has also been crucial in successfully advocating sustainable financing, improving HIV and AIDS programming, and advancing human rights and human dignity. However, civil society faced deep challenges born out of harmful effects of rising populism and ultra-conservatism on civil society space, especially organizations and networks led by stigmatized and marginalized communities. Also critical is that civil society organizations faced structural constraints to maintain their presence and programs due to financial, human, and material challenges. Sustaining organization has become a mission impossible with changed rules such as inability to keep assets in organizations at the end of project implementation, need to account, and high competition for resources, just to mention a few. To play a role in ending HIV and AIDS, civil society organizations are also challenged to put their house in order. In terms of strengthening the staff capacity of their boards to perform oversight roles, strengthen systems to be in line with international standards, to mention a few. To this end, we applaud the partners that continue to support civil society organizations to address these structural challenges that they face. The operational space for civil society is also a serious challenge. The Civica study has painted a picture of a precipitous decline in civic space, with only 3% of the world's population living in countries with open civic space. As noted by the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, civil society actors are facing opposition across the world, and the space for marginalized groups is increasingly shrinking. The diminishing space for civil society and an increasingly hostile political and social landscapes herald urgent global attention. We are grateful that in Eswatini, our working relations with key partners, such as the Ministry of Health, Nature, and many others, including those that support us, like PEPFAR, Global Fund, and others, have made us to work in an environment where we see improvement in the way we work. However, there are still concerns that some policies and legislations remain a challenge for civil society to play its meaningful role in ending AIDS. These laws and policies, Honorable Minister, need to be dismantled. The Sustainable Development Goals, which is the Global Compact for Development, call for no one to be left behind. It is indeed gratifying that the people with disabilities are featuring prominently in the 2021 World AIDS Day. It is when all sectors are mobilized in the spirit of nothing for us without us that civil society will continue to be a supporting arm of the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini to end AIDS. In this regard, we pledge our best, if resources are placed at our disposal, that we will do our part as civil society in the country to continue to mobilize communities, because that is where we are best at as civil society organizations. We are embedded in communities, and that's where we interface and mobilize communities so that they are part of this fight and also this mission to end HIV and AIDS. Therefore, Honorable Minister, you can count on us. We're here for the long haul. We will not let you down. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Babendlanga Mandla. We take note of that last statement. I'm sure the Honorable Minister takes note that we are here for the long haul. Indeed, issues of health are a long haul. Anyone with a marathon, with a sprint capacity, you'll get tired and the thing is still there. So we are here for a long haul. At this juncture, may I invite Nomalungelo to give us the brief entertainment. Nomalungelo. Oh, okay.
Sanibonani. I'm not sure how we commemorate. Do we say Happy World AIDS Day? No, because it is a celebration, is it not? The work that you guys have done in Eswatini has been incredible. And when I say Happy World AIDS Day to you, I say, well done. This song is dedicated to everyone here today. Itsile ngoma lena ke ungalahli ithemba. Kuthi tonke letimvo lesentendile nyalo chubekani nisebende ngathi simakathi anganiqinisa nonke. Enjoy. To ask you to dance, but if you feel the song, just move from side to side. emaphupho atofezeka tophela Listen, sale kutivusa phansi fune mandla ongesabi ngicela ukuthi ungakhali futhi ungakhathali udolunga indlela phelisadinga ubanjeti kwenda ngcono impila yakhe wemagwala mfana sekhaya atofezeka I'm gonna ask you to clap. Come on. Thank you so much. This next song was requested by Spesihle. She's like, listen, when you get there, you're going to be representing young people in Bali. So you need to sing this song because this song encouraged everyone when we were fighting AIDS. So this song is titled Imiyalo. I hope you enjoy this song. It's a story of the girl child. And but we're back. This song is called titled Imiyalo. Please do enjoy. Kunemvumbatana yahlangana nemfana impumalanga nentshona langa yona le mvumbatana ikulisekile kunalo mfana lo mina kadalanga wabole mathupha mvumbatana wamthanza lo mfana noke umfana inganwa kepha sisingethemba ngekukhohlwa imiyalo Begasithandwa sami angikubekwa ngizanze ngenhliziyo yami yonke ngethembu yangithanda ebandleni takhe bekuleli kusasa kananga ngimfuthele ikhaya layo ube mana ngikhohlanga imiyalo Yeah. I'm not sure if you want me to do another one. I can sing all day.
No, I got the message and I kept it. Who can interpret that last song? Because it had the message for the girl child. English people who can interpret, don't forget what? What are imiyalo? What are imiyalo? People are saying imiyalo. That's not it. What's a message to the young girl? Toby, yes. Don't forget the teachings, the advice, the guidance about oh, we just listened to the song. Teaching, guidance, advice about don't forget yourself, she's adding, but pertaining to your growth, your development, your decisions, your sexual and reproductive health issues, because that's where the key is. And the warnings were against that guy who said what to the girl. So that's the core and the message in this song that was dedicated to young people. Thank you very much. A round of applause again. May I now invite the UNAIDS Country Director, Ms. Rose, to take the floor and make her statement.
Health, Senator Lizzie Nkonsi, Ambassador Maloney, the Principal Secretary, Dr. Zwane, EU, UK, senior US government officials, the NACHA Director, senior government officials, Congo Director, media representatives, civil society, people living with HIV, and all distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are here today in solidarity to launch World AIDS Day 2021 that is themed End Inequalities, End AIDS, End Pandemics. It is my singular honor and privilege to stand before you to share the UN statement where I unpack this year's global theme during this auspicious occasion. Before doing that, I would like to begin by celebrating Eswatini's achievements thus far in the HIV response. It is encouraging to note that, based on our projections and estimates as of December 2020, we have managed to maintain the 95-95-95 results. You will recall that we first reached this milestone in 2019. And now we can celebrate that we have sustained these impressive results through the end of 2020. As you all know, 2020 was a rather difficult year because of the pandemic. We also succeeded in reducing new HIV infections by 64% and AIDS-related deaths by 53%. Our PMTCT coverage is well above 95%. These, honorable ladies and gentlemen, are great achievements that we can celebrate and seek to improve on. However, the battle to end HIV as a public health threat is not over yet. We are now on the last mile, and now, more than ever, we need to intensify our efforts. We cannot afford to lose our focus, as this will result in losing our hard-earned gains. We must safeguard and even improve on our gains. Now, how do we do that? I would suggest that we need to conduct a very careful analysis of our data. We need to examine the gaps and the areas that we need to focus our efforts on. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the World AIDS Day theme for 2021 was propelled by the realization that in many countries, the AIDS response is still leaving millions of people behind, specifically the marginalized population. This includes our LGBTIQ community. It includes sex workers, people who use drugs, migrants, prisoners, teenagers, young people, and women, who all deserve to enjoy the same rights and dignity enjoyed by most of us who are present here today. It has been 40 years since the first AIDS case was reported, yet HIV is still threatening the world. I wish I could stand before you today and declare that we are on track with ending AIDS by 2030. The reality is that the world is off track from delivering on the shared commitment to end AIDS by 2030. And it's not because we lack the knowledge or the know-how. We actually know what works when it comes to the HIV response. We know what we need to do. What is pulling us behind is what we call structural inequalities. This is what is hindering the HIV response. As UNAIDS, we have collected data from many countries, including Eswatini, and we've analyzed that data to see why have we still not ended AIDS as a public health threat. And what we have seen is that inequalities is still the issue that's pulling us behind. The evidence has shown us that inequalities is the main reason that the 2020 global targets were missed in several countries. In most countries, inequalities exist among multiple demographics. Inequalities can manifest in laws and policies, as my colleague from Congo mentioned, in discriminatory practices, in unequal access to health care and other services. It can also manifest in violence and poor HIV outcomes. My colleagues, the evidence and the analysis is clear. Inequalities in power, status, and rights is what is currently driving the HIV pandemic. Inequalities kill. As the new global AIDS strategy sets out, to end AIDS, we have to end inequalities which perpetuate it. We absolutely cannot be neutral when it comes to inequalities. To get back on track to ending AIDS, we must be deliberate in confronting inequalities. Minor adjustments and tinkering will not work in this case. We need to be focused, and we need dedicated efforts across all stakeholders to address inequalities. Everyone in this room can and should play a role. As a country, we have committed to Agenda 2030, which includes SDG 10, that focuses on reducing inequalities. Ladies and gentlemen, to realize Agenda 2030, member states, including Eswatini, committed to the implementation of the political declaration on HIV and AIDS, which includes addressing inequalities. Related to this, member states are urged to put gender equality and human rights of women and girls in all their diversity at the forefront of efforts to mitigate the risk and impact of HIV. Member states are also urged to respect and protect and fulfill the human rights of people living with, at risk of, and affected by HIV, and to ensure that by 2025, less than 10% of people living with HIV and key populations experience stigma, discrimination, by removing punitive and discriminatory laws and policies and practices that block the effective responses to HIV. Member states are also urged to enhance global solidarity, to close the HIV resource gap, and to increase annual HIV investments in low and middle income countries. Program Director, this pivotal moment for the global AIDS response comes as the COVID pandemic upends both the global economy and our day-to-day life. The COVID-19 pandemic is overwhelming. It's overwhelming even the most sophisticated health systems, worsening gender inequalities and gender-based violence, and threatening the education of a generation of young people, and disrupting HIV prevention, diagnosis, and treatment initiation. At the same time, the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted to all of us the agility of the HIV response and the many spillover benefits of HIV investment in health and development. As I conclude, I'd like to emphasize that by ending inequalities, transformative outcomes are achieved for people living with HIV, communities, and countries. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., I have a dream for Eswatini. I believe that we as a country can end HIV. Look at how far we have come. We started off as a country with the highest prevalence of HIV, and now we are the only African country that has attained 95, 95, 95, 10 years ahead of the global targets. Even more impressive, we have sustained that achievement in the face of COVID-19, based on our data from December 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, that's remarkable. So I believe in my dream, and I invite you all to join me in making my dream a reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rose. The dream is encouraging. Who's joining the dream? All of us. In health work and in HIV, we adapt. Have we adapted it to the community where you were born? So, Ms. Rose, I'm adapting it for Lunzi, so that I don't adapt it for Mbabane, because we need to end AIDS even in the most rural community where I was born. So thank you very much for that encouragement. Indeed, Lomalungelo said, Happy World AIDS Day commemoration. So we're taking that to be what we say when we are in the World AIDS Day. At this juncture, may I invite the Nature Executive Director, Mr. Kanya Mabuza, to give a synopsis of HIV in Eswatini. Let's welcome him with a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Director of the event, Honorable Minister, members of the diplomatic corps who are in our midst, the peers from the Ministry of Health and all senior officials from the ministry. Let me also recognize in our midst the presence of the RSs, our regional secretaries from the regions, and then the directors from the sectors that we are working with. And let me also recognize people living with HIV, the civil society, and the nature team. Honorable Minister, I call them my A-team. It is my great pleasure to give you a synopsis, Honorable Minister, of what has happened from last year when we launched the World AIDS Day of 2020. You gave us an assignment last year. I think we keep launching without taking stock of what has happened. Last year, you encouraged us to go and work with communities and invest in communities, ensure that we keep HIV/AIDS in the National Development Agenda. So I will take some minutes, and my apologies, my presentation will be different from my predecessors. I'll be making a presentation, but more interactive kind of a presentation so that we may be able to see what has happened over the years. Firstly, Honourable Minister, like Margaret has mentioned, I would like to re-emphasize the point that HIV/AIDS remains a public health threat. We are being challenged, Honourable Minister, by many things in this country, whereby the focus is now shifting gradually. And then we might quickly drop the ball if we are not careful. I recall one day you said to me, it is difficult to be at the pinnacle of the mountain because it's easy for you to fall. And that is what you are experiencing now. We have popped the champagne. I guess we have celebrated for too long for these achievements that you have made. It's just time to continue to roll up our sleeves. The battle is still not yet over. And we are also sitting down now and trying to go deeper into the statistics, to the figures. Because the figures, if you take them, I'll use the word blanket approach, you will say the country has reached the goals of ending AIDS, the 95 goals. But if you sit down and look at the subpopulations and see where this country is, we still have a population that is left behind. And this theme for this year, we are excited that it talks about making sure that we don't leave any person behind. So we talk about issues of inequalities, and under inequalities, we are realizing certain populations. Primarily, we're looking at issues of the gender imbalance, whereby we're seeing young girls getting picking the infections. We're also seeing some subpopulations, particularly the ages of 18 to 24, both young boys and young girls. They're also seeing the new infections. And I want to thank your ministry, Your Excellency, that the Honourable Minister, that the recent studies that you are doing, that are helping us to actually see the trend of the HIV new infections, more particularly because of the COVID. COVID has affected us. In actual fact, we are losing the gains that we have made over years. So it is extremely important that we also look at those subpopulations. And then we also have to look at the issues of prevalence. I think we keep saying that prevalence is not a good measure. But the more we sit, and I'll make a presentation of that, prevalence is also very important to look at it, because prevalence talk about the health burden, one, and prevalence actually shows you the indicator. It's good to keep prevalence stable. But once you see the prevalence going up, it means there's something wrong again. We are increasing the number of people that are living with HIV. And also, last but very important, Honourable Minister, and I want to take Your Excellency through the American government, that the issues of sustainable financing is key. It's very key. I think we talk about all these things as if there's Father Christmas somewhere who's going to support these HIV expenses. It is very important that as we talk about HIV, we also look at financing. More particular, we need to look at domestic financing of the HIV investments. So I've used the slides before. I think other people have seen it, sorry to bore you. But this actually shows that the trend of new infections in the country are showing a decrease. So it is very interesting that when you look at this, if you look at the total population, which is the line in between, the trend shows that the new infections, so the number of people who are picking HIV per given, that's the 1,000, it is showing a drop. However, Honourable Minister, the synopsis tells us that we should be careful. We saw the sharp drop here, which we really appreciated, and it was still going down. But as of here, we are seeing this thing flattening. And then we are waiting for SHIMS to confirm this, because these are estimates which we use through the UNAIDS, NIOM, and the Spectrum model. But our challenge now is like we are worried about this because it is flattening, and it is flattening at a high level. Our hope and dream was that these figures are still going to drop to a point that by year 2022, at least the figures should be sitting somewhere here. So the flattening of the new infections at the high level, we might actually see another increase. So this curve actually may go up, which is our worry. So our focus in the coming years, basically is to ensure that we target the population so that we reduce these new infections. And Your Excellency and Honorable Minister, we happen to sit with the SADC team, and then we look at the incidents over the years. So 10 years, after 10 years, we sit down as SADC, and you'll see this report officially, Honorable Minister, next week, when SADC will be presenting. But this is what we have done as a technical team within the SADC countries, the 13 member states. We realized that incidence has dropped, and we recall that we set a target, as SADC globally, that new infections should drop at least by 75% by the year 2020. Yes, the celebration is there. If you look at the Kingdom of Eswatini, we are at 62 global target, which was set by UNAIDS, that new infections should drop by 75. And very interesting, Your Excellency and the Honorable Minister, is that we need to look at Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is showing a very good improvement over years. If we look at Zimbabwe, I don't know whether it's clear, Zimbabwe is sitting somewhere here. They managed to drop the new infections by 71%. And then Eswatini sits at 62, and our worry is Madagascar, which has shown an increase, Madagascar here, which has shown an increase of almost 100% of new infections. All member states are showing a decrease, in exception of Madagascar. We might say it's Madagascar. For those who've been in HIV for some time, Marguerite, you'll agree with me that when we look at HIV, we're saying it's a problem of Uganda. And then when it came back home, we said, hey, we should have actually moved faster than Uganda. Even here, what it says is like, if we've got member states that are showing a high increase of close to 100%, it means if we are not careful, we might actually see the same problem. So I'm just highlighting this, Honorable Minister, because 2 years ago, we said to you we're sitting at 58, we're the highest in terms of dropping new infections. To date, we are number 3. So it means there's something that we did not do right. And I want to apologize, Honorable Minister, that we need to have reached the 75 reduction. So, and then these are just the trends in numbers, so I will not take much of your time. And if you look at, again, the number of new infections, I'm very concerned that we took this dive here, a deep dive, and I was talking to the team, and we were doing some analysis of what happened here when we saw this drop of the new infections, the total enemy. And this is the time when we introduced the PMTCT. We saw this sharp drive. So it is very important that we also link at this treatment as prevention. U equals U. It does work. So that's the message that we are trying to convey. So, your Honorable Minister, again, the number of prevalence here too remains almost the same. I mean, except that we are seeing some high number of prevalence in some quotas. For instance, if we look at prevalence comparing it to the SADC, Eswatini, which is number 3 from the top, if you look at females, prevalence, HIV prevalence amongst females has increased by 6.1%. If you compare again the females with the male population, the male has dropped by 13%. This is the Eswatini. So the question we have again is like, why are we seeing prevalence among the 15 above going up, and we are seeing the prevalence amongst the 15 and above males dropping? We have done a further analysis, Honorable Minister. If you go to the scorecard and then you look in terms of our prevention, there are a lot of gaps between the 15-24. As an example, for instance, if you look at the use of condom with the non-regular partner, with males, we're seeing as high as close to 70% of males using condoms with the non-regular partner. But it's not the same number that you find with the young girls. Most women are not using condoms with a non-regular partner. So that what it means, it's we need to invest with the young girls. And then the age stats again are showing that we are seeing a decline in the number of MI stats. If you look at females in Eswatini, the 52% reduction of MI stats, whilst with males, MI stats remain 60%. Again, these are the inequalities that we are seeing. We are seeing less men dying and more women dying. Again, these are things that we have to look at. And then, again, if you do program analysis on these, you find that the viral suppression issue, we are still not at 97%. In the 390s, the lagging one, the one lagging behind is the viral suppression. So what it means, again, is like, this shows, again, if you still have minus 52%, and then compared to the minus 60 for males, that we need actually to improve our viral suppression. With this, Honorable Minister, I want to say the programs are going well, but what we need to do, we need to ensure that we improve our treatment cascade and to be more focused. There's a need to look at the increase of people who are living with HIV, and there's need to give them more care and support. And then with resources that are dwindling, we are seeing less support going to people living with HIV. There's a need to support the people living with HIV. And then there's a gap. Prevention remains key. We need to invest in prevention. I can't emphasize it more. If we don't close the tap, we're still going to have a problem. With those words, Honorable Minister, I end here, and I thank you so much. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Babe Mabuza, for bringing in that aspect of the work that still needs to happen and the gaps when we go into details of what still needs to be done to curb and eliminate this public health threat. With that in our mind, I think it is the correct time to hear some encouragement and hope to say there's still something we can do. I will request and invite Her Excellency the U.S. Ambassador to the Kingdom of Eswatini to make her statement just after looking at this, and we get the fuel to go on with the response. Your Excellency, you have the floor. Thank you. Oh, no, teacher.
Thank you, Rose. Good morning, everyone.
Just one moment, Your Excellency. It's a little close.
Well, thank you again. Honorable Minister of Health, members of Parliament, Director of NERCHA, senior government officials, UNAIDS Director, diplomatic colleagues, civil society, implementing partners, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. Thank you again for this opportunity to be here today and to speak with you. You've just heard some inspiring remarks from the UNAIDS Director, which I deeply appreciate. Thank you. And also some sobering statistics from our NERCHA colleague. Food for thought. You know, we had an opportunity over the past few weeks to reflect on where the country program is in terms of a sustainable HIV response. It was a very timely exercise in which many of you participated, and I want to thank you for that, because it's very important to have broad discussions about these things. Again, it was timely, as Eswatini is on the precipice of epidemic control. And the program's successes are clear, and we should all be proud of that. But at this point in time, there are some serious risks lying ahead. You just heard some of those as demonstrated by the data that NERCHA presented. COVID and the current unrest threaten the HIV AIDS gains made in Eswatini. In terms of COVID, together, we really worked hard. We dug together, we built coalitions so that we could continue to address HIV while also responding to COVID. We continue to require flexibility and resilience to deliver services in the current context. The PEPFAR 2025 vision will soon be released, and I want to share with you the focus areas. First, we'll focus on accomplishing the mission. Let's get it done. That means sustained, equitable, and people-centered HIV services, achieving 95, 95, 95 for all populations across the board. Second, building enduring capabilities. That means that our health systems and communities and our partners are resilient and they're capable. They have the capacity to respond. And third, broadening the support, which means partnering for greater impact and sustainability. You know, the United States has stood by Eswatini's side for 17 years on HIV and AIDS. Through PEPFAR, 8.4 billion Imologeni has been invested by the United States to support the achievements in HIV and AIDS, and I think the results are clear. We've made a lot of progress together, and we're very proud of our partnership. We continue to stand with you to provide support for both HIV and COVID prevention and treatment. We look forward to joining the regional and the National World AIDS Day commemoration events that have been planned. The United States will continue to work together with you and with our partners to end AIDS, inequalities, and the impact of pandemics on the people of Eswatini. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Wasn't that encouraging? Our partners, the excellencies that are here, our development partners, we are happy that you partner with us. This is a long haul. Surely it's not yet over until we reach the zero. Thank you very much. At this juncture, may I invite the entertainment, Bokoko Naslwan.
Hayi babo.
One, two.
Siyawona sweetheart. Siyanibonani bantu abami egameni lika Jesu. Kangina ushumayela bomuntu la emzaleni ungabangale nje kwa 40 lo gama lika Jesu uyatingenela. Uyatingenela nje bantu abami kunaleti into leti ntshintshako ungaze ufike la ekubeni ingogo bo sweetheart. Namhla ngifuna kuteni tsigaba. Imisebenzi yami kwafundziswa ngemloni ngethuki. Lokwento ungathi uyavitha itatandla vele kwentiwa njalo. Uthi ungefika ke bantu abami ku50 yele kube netinto leti ngena la emizweni ngendalo yaNkulunkulu lokufaka ekhathi nje ukuthi umuntu unakathandaza so ungetulu kwa40 awuthuli nje ulibale ukucimeda. Uyaliphekeletela ngabe oh Jesus. Nkosi. Angithi so ungena esigabeni sokuthi noma ngakuyolilwa so uyanikwa lithuba wena. Nase eBhayibhelini ke na ufunza ungaze ube ngetulu nje abantu abami kwa40 kubhekale kubo 50. Awusuka letincwadi tebantwana bomakho ufunza kuDeuteronomy. Tincwadi letinemandla Old Testament. Siyungale ngale minyaka. Yes Lwana, go. Thixo.
Gogo, sasithole 95%.
Ayaye kahle bosilwane kahle. Bekutende ungaqala phela la kunebantu abadzala unawuqala emanga nje la silwane. Wena esikolweni kubhadala mina imphumela yakho ilandwa ngimi. Wena limaki lo libambako nje nalilinengi 22.
Gogo man.
Kanye mntanami la wathola khona lokucishe kube na 5 na 9 kunako kwaguqulwele kungu59. Kanye.
Gogo ngicela ungive buka la. Silive sesiachieve.
Awunako sewuqale ukukhuluma na uthi silive hayi wena. Ngeke wena silwane lawo mama kulawo.
But ngicela ungive phela gogo.
Ngilalela.
Ngithi mina live selisebentile gogo. Sesithole gogo in 95% webantu gogo ukuthi sebatestile la kule live i-achievement leyo. 95% yabantu labak-treatment i-achievement leyo. 95% gogo abantu lesikhuluma la kuthiwa i-viral load angadoma i-viral suppression angadoma uta-understand yini lokho. Ngada ngangidlala ngesikhathi.
Yesilwane yimsebenzi yethu le mina ngike ngaba ngushebenwe bagqugquteli velonke.
Siwa ke che mani kako siwa ke che lady. Awumfake man mase kungo.
Silwane iBhayibheli lithi madoda abazalwane sisuke sikhona nathi.
Sorry gogo, sorry. Baye gogo la ngikulandzela lapha ukuthi kuthiwa i-huge milestone gogo lokho. Sesihamba umgamo lobonakalako.
Hey bantu abakathu kusetshenziswe lapho le ngikuthanza ngokulo stone. Kuthe ke longalathi litshe ukuthi nabaliyekele la ebucosheni. Ungavela ube phansi ufihlwe. Lisebenza kakhulu live silwane.
Ngawe gogo sithi ke siphokophele lapha ku 2022 gogo. Lapho sithi eSwatini HIV free generation.
Silwane ungathe ngiyabona mntana nami ngemehlo engcondo la khona sekude lo sathelela lo munye.
My God.
Silwane kwangathi ngiyabona mntana sekude lo semukela lelisha engathi.
My God.
Oh uNkulunkulu wami.
Zero HIV new infections.
Nako konke lothi kosilwane limaki lakho lalidlala kuletho nizawuvele. La ekulozilo. Kunabantwana lesilwane labanye batali laba bathi qhenya ngabo silwane. Labantwana labatali balabantwana labala.
Wena uthi qhenye ngamkho.
Silwane kanjani nje? Ngifuna kubekisa ngabantwana ntasi uyabona ke wena uthi vele lo mntwana walo mntwana ngathi qhenya kufana yini nami ngawe. Kunabantwana la nangu umntwana silwane nangu lo. Ntazi ngani lo bando sayibona uyambona nawu silwane ndokulayela ngoba umathi nalo kumathi phela lo mntwana ngiyamathi mina lo ngiyamathi nawu ngikwembatha uyambona silwane buka wena ungathi kwakhuhlutiswa awumbuka ugqebe kanjani ngiyabonga mntwana nami uyambona unethe kwani silwane uthanza nasifonyo.
Ngiyambona gogo.
Ngiyathuka konke silwane lo mntwana lo ngidokotela.
Ngiyabukiswa ngami.
Athi angidokotela silwane. Aphinde futhi yeka lila tiq PS.
Nawo ke labe ngifuna khona. Wena gogo cha uyajabula lokuba ngiPS. Nani? Phela yegogo nawe uyafisa kujova abantu abakhanzanyana. Uyathi ukuthi kubuhlungwana ukuthi bengibheva banginikile le moto. Yena nje anga operator badiyana. Kude gogo ubuhlungu ufile ebuhlungu.
Silwane phela lana silwane akufani kuba ngidriver silwane. Lana ngasikhathi ofundzile nihle niba nema workshops. Sengulawo ojova labonza ngayakhe khona. La sukela khona la
So jova ngelwadi.
So jova ngelwadi akajovi ithi gulane nje.
Manje nokusita gogo. Mina na Dr. Zwane. Same WhatsApp group. He is my colleague at work.
Cha bantu abama ngikucondzise kini nonke ke nako. Na utawuqala emangu ubocala de ukuthi kutheni lokwatiko.
Gogo ngicela ukuchaza.
Silwana ngeke kwendeke wena.
Ngicela ukuchaza. Uthi dokotela icolleague yami kanjani?
Asengibude nangako kuyicolleague yakho emntwana wongamelule kungani lo mntata athishelo.
Mani gogo mani kujaka lapho. Mani ngichaze.
Ngilalele
ngicela ukuchaza mina. Awu,
ngikuphi indlebe chaza ngilalele.
Thank you. It is said that laughter is the best medicine. Which makes me a doctor ke. Because we comedian, ngidisha yona le laughter. Sho ngiyabajova nje gogo. Ngale laughter. Utsimile wena gogo nanje. Dr. Slwane.
Kodwa lo dokotela bakho silwana ngeke kwendeke bufake nathi tinto natala. Lonto lokwala silwane ngilasibona khona lizinga lesihlungu.
Mani ke nokuseta nalapha gogo, it's fine. I'll be patient with you. Lolo kufakwa la ke gogo. Ufaka na usaqala kulomkhakha wetempilo. Mawusokulenzinga lefuna bo PS nabo minister sifake le mfowethu. Sesingetulu sekudolo lokungahlala la.
Oh.
Yes gogo.
Cha akuhluphi ke silwane bengithi ke abantu abakethu njengaloku namhla sihlangene la.
Gogo namhla sihlangene to end sithi nje end to inequalities. End ku AIDS. End to pandemics.
Awunalo leli gama la lo pandemic silwane. Lo pandemic bantu bami uthi nje na uthi phang ve ngilale phansi. Uyawuthi ungetha lo endemic sengiyachisha nje.
Namhla gogo kuyaphela lokho sithi end to that. Lokusho ukuthi letonke letinye tifo gogo.
Yimisebenzi ke silwane ya nature.
Nature.
Angithi nature silwane ufuna kutenda sasimbulelo.
Ungiso gogo. Tinhlangano tilapha nature gogo.
Nature ke silwane vele tonke letinye tinhlangano letibuke kulamlela sive ukuthi siphile nakwendeka thina ekukhala tikhala la ekunethi.
Yes.
Nangathi uhlaba inyanza leyo nanginethi uyabamba. Nature silwane unako lokufana nami ngamashi.
Nako ke.
Benzi ngangishayela thandla manje umona ngiyawathi.
Ningabo jaka lokushaya ningeva kahle.
Ngishiso yini ngesilwane ukuthi nature ufana nami. Nature silwane konke lokula ngaphasi lokudzinga lusido kuya ku nature.
Yes.
Abese nature wenda njani? Uyasida. Lekhaya nanifuna lisida nethi kimi. Ngoba mina ngikunature vele lekhaya.
Manje ke gogo. Umehluko wa nature nawe nangu. Lapha ku nature gogo kuna emergency response. Ngilapho ke lawo dinga kitimbo esasacela kuyo sokuthi ngendeki namhla.
Cha phela
lo emergency ude wena. Awu respond immediately. Njenga nature uhlukile nje ku nature gogo.
Angakahluki isilwane lo emergency nangakunake kuphendula kwami nawende liqala silwane nakuthiwa siyelaphana. Angumele sikuwalale mina ngidibana nawe nje ngemshiza khona dudane.
Lo emergency kusebenza one way gogo. Funa asebenze noma ngicela imali ye school fees gogo. Emergency akangena.
Cha phela la kulamakhikhi ke silwane ekhikhini ngeke ulifananise lami lekhikhi na nature. La nature lekhikhi linako lokushona mina emakhikhi nje silwane ngathi nature lekhikhi mina ngingithokya.
Asayide. Gogo ngicela ungangifaki. Ngicela but kuthiwa namhla gogo
sikulonje silwane.
Siyalonja namhla gogo. Yes, silonja ke gogo namhla iWorld AIDS Day ledawo gogo.
Sendela ini ke wena silwane ngokuthi sale siphila njengebantu labasezingeni vele singemaswati. Hayi sodwana ke silwane nje ukuthi kuphila thina siphaquda la. Sonke sihambe kanye nanaba abantu phela silwane labaphila nekukhubateka.
Iqiniso gogo.
Ngiko ke nature ende lo mkhakha.
Sike saba ne brief la ngaphandle sisakhuluma na PS. Sengangeni la. Siyakhuluma ke over tea. Ngithi kuye lalela. Ahleko lemona ngiyalathi ngiya understand futhi. Besikhuluma ndaqhubeka. Siyakhuluma ngithi ku dokotela uyabona wena Mangweni. But sibitela ngabo Simon it's fine. Ithine nayo.
Lokho ukuthi abe lapha enhloko silwane Mangweni vele la kule tempilo. Phela angithi Simon abevela anjena phela na Jesu. Lo Simon Petro. Ana Jesu babenqamashi balamlela abantu bethe nemakhambi kuba. Ngiko ke lo mntwana lo ngathi ubamba mtheke gaga. Wonke ke umuntu awucela.
Nako ke.
Abantu bemona nekungangijabuleli imisebenzi yami phela lo muntu loya. Kwalona leli bhantshi lalegqokile uleboleke kimi ekuseni angithi ngirelisa impahla mina.
Hayi ke ungangifake kule ungangifaki isabonga kakhulu.
A round of applause. Thank you very much to our doctors who use other methods to make us healthy. So at this juncture, I'm not sure anymore how to call him, whether Sloane's colleague or my PS. May I invite the PS in the Ministry of Health to come and do the introduction of the guests. Thank you.
I don't even know how to start myself. Honorable Minister for Health, Honorable Senator Liz Nkosi, Excellencies, the ambassadors here present, Nature Executive Director and staff, Kango Director, and all civil society organizations here present, senior government officials, the private sector representatives, as well as partner organizations present here today, representatives of people living with HIV, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a good morning to you all. I'm still laughing, so my voice is still captured somewhere. Before I invite the Honorable Minister, may I say just one word? And to thank you, Honorable Minister, for your undoubtedly commitment to the cause. And when I say the cause, I mean everything that you are mandated to do. We are happy to work with you, all of us here in this house, even with regard to the response to HIV and AIDS. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say that if we are to end AIDS, amongst the many things that we need to do is to never lose focus and attention to the things that we have done right. It is so easy, particularly going through the COVID-19 pandemic and now going through what the country is experiencing. It is very easy for us to lose focus. It is so easy to expend our energies to the things that matter now and forget about the things that mattered yesterday and will matter tomorrow. We need to continue. As we celebrate, as we work together, we need to continue to focus on the things that made us successful to this response and that will make us successful to the response in the future. It is very important, regardless of what we see, what we hear, and what we are going through as a nation. And with that, I'd like to say that we have seen that from the Honorable Minister for Health in the response to HIV and AIDS, to COVID-19 in the past 1.5 years, if not, is it 15, 16 months now? In the response to COVID-19, we have seen her dedicating herself to the response, working with all of us, but also making sure that we take care of the other issues that we have to deal with, including HIV itself and other, diseases that we are fighting or responding to. And we thank you, Minister, for that. And at this point in time, may I humbly request you to come and address us as you launch World AIDS Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zwane, and Program Manager. Bantu benkosi labakhona, boba betikhulu, members of both houses of parliament, Your Excellencies, UNAIDS Director, US Ambassador, EU representative of the UK Embassy, Nature Council and management and staff, Kango Director and civil society representatives, private sector representative here present, partner organizations that we work with that are here present today, senior government officials, people living with HIV and AIDS, people living with disability, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nyan Vosel. I'm sure you noticed I deliberately wore, I knew I was going to be surrounded by red ribbons, but I deliberately wore the pink and blue ribbon. I'm not going to be like Rejoice and ask you what it means, but this is the month we look at issues of cancer. We look at breast and cervical cancer. Nature Director here talked about how women are dying from HIV and AIDS more than men. And we know that cervical cancer has a lot to do with that. So I thought as I come forward here, I should remind all of us that there are other issues that we need to be looking at as we look at HIV and AIDS. But what a year where we come from. You know, the health sector has been bombarded with all sorts of things. We have had challenges. You know, Nomalungen was saying, happy commemoration, but actually we're thinking, and then Kanya comes up and says, not so much, because we still have a lot to do. Other than the challenges we've had with COVID-19 this past year, the recent civil unrest, and all of these things that hamper the way we can deliver health services in the country. However, we are grateful that despite all that, we can come here and look back to what we've been doing and start looking at how we've dealt with two particular pandemics, HIV and COVID. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of government, I would like to congratulate Eswatini for the resilience in moving with the HIV response. You've heard for yourself, many speakers before me have been speaking about our achievement of 95, 95, 95. And I know that I would have liked to have seen the different numbers, you know, whether it's 98, 97, 97, or 98, 99, 96, wherever we are now, we are moving in the right direction where HIV and AIDS is concerned. We've been doing this work for the past 3 decades. As I stand here, as we review what we've been doing for the last 30 years, I salute my predecessors and all the health workers and all the partners that have consistently given the energy that was needed for us to come to pandemic control or epidemic control where HIV/AIDS is concerned. The country is blessed, and that we can talk about multi-sectoral HIV/AIDS response that has helped us turn the tide around. We have worked with stakeholders. Today, we are looking at a theme for this year. It is a good thing that time and again and every year we can come and inject new energy and think about what we are doing. Inzaba yethu sonke le we know, but we are looking at ending inequalities, we are looking at ending AIDS, we are looking at ending pandemics. This is the theme for this year. And it's adapted for us. Sister inqoba AIDS, start inqoba letinye tifo, lokubalulekile sawunqoba nokubandlulula. The young people are talking of the hashtag ending AIDS together. It is together. Even when we have differences, it is together that we can journey this far. Noteworthy for us this year is the UNAIDS strategy for 2021 to 2026 that underscores the urgent need to end inequalities and end HIV and AIDS. We have had the UNAIDS a country rep talking about these strategies and talking about how we need to get there. We're setting new goals. And we're looking at setting new goals and setting new targets for us to successfully end HIV and AIDS. I urge you all to look at the global strategy for our HIV programming, that we as a country need to keep our eyes on those goals and keep working forward. We have made remarkable gains. We have made remarkable achievements. And looking at the global target of 2020, we are proud of ourselves to have reached that global target 10 years early. But that also means that where we haven't reached, as Kanya was explaining to us today, we need to put more effort. We're looking back and thinking, Dr. Zwane was saying, we need to be looking at the things we've done, that we've done well, and not forget those. And we're looking at our strategy, where we've been looking at strengthening of the primary prevention, as well as the pediatric adolescent treatment coverage that we've been doing in the country as part of our strategies. We're looking at the increased treatment coverage, which is above 95%, and the adherence, which is above 95%, and the HIV suppression that we are talking about, also above 95%. We're looking at how we've expanded communication across the nation to make sure that everybody can get to the information. We're still looking at areas, when we say 95, 95, 95, we're talking about averages. I think the caution here is it has to be 95 in every sector, in every formation, for all people in the country. So there are areas where we know we have challenges and there's limited access to these services. This is what now we're looking at in terms of closing those gaps. One particular importance of this year's commemoration, in collaboration with the DPM's office, is we want to really focus on people with disabilities, to sensitize, to ensure that they can access the services equally with everybody else. People with disabilities, I think Nature talked very ably about this, that some are at very high risk due to poverty, due to unemployment, prone to sexual violence, due to all other forms of exploitation that they are vulnerable to. As we emphasize zero tolerance, we need to be looking at zero tolerance to stigma, to discrimination of all sorts, to neglect, to all forms of violence, to exploitation against people with disabilities, against people living with HIV and AIDS, against adolescent girls, against young women, against key populations, and all other population groups that need HIV services. We have not been doing this alone. We couldn't have achieved where we are today on our own without the help of the multi-sectoral response partners. We're talking about the UN family, UNAIDS, we're talking about PEPFAR, the World Bank, Global Fund, and all the other agencies that have been supporting us and working with us and running with us in this response. Program Director, it has become prudent at this point to send our deepest and utmost appreciation to the Prime Minister's Office in collaboration with Nature. Nature, they said, is an umbrella. I think it's a very heavy umbrella because on top of it are all these partners and agencies that are helping support us, that have made this story a success. So our highest appreciation to our partners. Today, I think one of the key things is about we cannot celebrate until everybody is free from HIV and AIDS. I think those are my thoughts, that we are talking 95, 95, 95, but really celebration is about ensuring that all of us are safe, all of us are free from HIV and AIDS. So despite all the progress we've made, the World AIDS commemoration, I'm talking about health all the time, and then the World AIDS Day, there remains still a lot of work to be covered. The challenges that we're looking at, that we're being shown to us, are the new infections. I think nothing scared me as much as looking at those numbers from Madagascar and wondering that for another small nation like ourselves, what is it that happened for them to be where they are? What should we be watching out for? What should we be keeping our eyes at to ensure? We want to get to 0, but we know there are countries where the infection has gone up to 100%, and this is scary. So we cannot let our guard down at this point. We need to look after our young girls. We need to look after young women. We need to look at gender-based violence that is making people more vulnerable. These are some of the critical issues that we are looking at, that we need to address as a nation. I would like to end in a more positive note, but in line with this year's theme of ending AIDS, inequality, and pandemics, I would like to call upon all partners and stakeholders in the HIV response to transform unequal gender norms and stigma and discrimination. Let us utilize the full potential of the HIV prevention tools that we have. Especially, let us look at adolescent girls and young women. The fragile gains, we call them fragile gains even though it's after 30 years, in the HIV and AIDS response can be easily reversed if the vulnerable groups, being the key population, adolescent girls, young men and young women, are not placed in the center of the response. It is very important for us to be doing this. And I urge people living with HIV and AIDS to continue to be agents of change, to contribute to the treatment success, to promote, to demand a creation at community level, and draw more people into accessing this life-saving HIV treatment. The call for World AIDS Day 2021 is to ensure that we leave no one behind, listen to the voice of the voiceless, strengthen advocacy and communication with those who have not been reached, and to ensure that our services reach those who are hard to reach. We need to build up on the activities in all 4 regions. I was happy to hear the program being outlined here today, aimed at sensitizing communities on issues of inequality, ending AIDS, and ending other pandemics. I can talk for a long time. They always try to write notes for me, and I end up going all over the place. So before I say too much, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor and pleasure to declare the 2021 World AIDS commemoration officially launched. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I was waiting a bit because usually the media asks you to do Siswati, I'm not sure.
You know, the way they're looking at me just now.
Okay. The summary in Siswati. Yes.
Summary in Siswati. Mphathi Hlelo, bantu benkosi, boba betikhulu, bahlonishwa betindlu timbili teParliamente, Bolusiba, kwa-UNAIDS, hulumende weMelika, hulumende weMangisi, nebaka EU labakhona la. Director waka Kango, nalabemele tinhlangano letitimele, director waka Nature, ne council yaka Nature, labamele ma business labakhona lapha, tisebenti tahulumende leti senior, bantfu labaphila nekhubateka, bantfu labaphila ne-HIV and AIDS, balingani bethu lapha etinsatseli, nine bekunene ngiyavusela ekuseni. Lilanga lalamhla nase ngalibuka kufuna ngabe ngigcokela ishirt lelibovu ne-ribbon lebovu. Kodwa ke ngikhethela ukuthi angigcoke i-ribbon nayo lena lokupink nalokublue. Lo ngigcokiswa nginaku bekushiwo ngimabuza lapha kwekuthi nasibuka abantu lababulawa yi-HIV and AIDS bomake bafa kakhulu ngoba bomake babulawa mdlavuza wesibeletho ikakhulu lala bane-HIV and AIDS bekubalekile ke ukuthi sikhumbutane ngaloku. Kodwa ke vele lapha etikwa le tempilo lo mnyaka lesisuka kuwo kunengi lesingakhuluma ngakho. Ube umnyaka lo ngatsini nje ngiyafuna leligama letingqinamba ngoba kunengi lesikwendile sedlula kuko. Kodwa ube ngumnyaka lento into lesithethinenge lebekufuna ngabe sitibukile leti hamba takhinya bethu umsebenzi endleleni njengayo nje iCovid-19 njengokwanza kwetifo letinye njenganayo imisindvo lekhona eveni lenda kusi kube likhulu ukuthi sisebente silethe leto lo msebenzi nekusitakala kubantu kusi la sikhona khona sifuna ukuthi sicedze i-HIV and AIDS lesi sindzaba yethu sonke kodwa lo nyaka sibuka nasiqubulo lesithi sincoba i-AIDS letinye tifo sicedza nekubandlulula lekuyintfo lebaluleke kakhulu kulomnyaka lesikuwo. Lapha ke lamuhla sitowucala lo msebenzi ngoba phela lona lelilanga laka AIDS limhla ka1 kuDisemba. Kodwa lamuhla sicala umsebenzi lomkhulu wekuthi sesawucala sihambe lapha even lonke sihambe kuto tonke tigodzi lapho sikhumbutana khona ngemsebenzi lekufuna siwende u-HIV and AIDS. Siveke siyati ukuthi siyasikhumbuta kanengi kwekuthi sisheshe sefika sasheshe salishaya leligoli la 95 lese silichaze kanengi. Kodwa lapha director waka Kango usikhombise tintfo letibalekile kwekuthi noma ngabe sisitsine sesifikile kulelo gelo kufuna sibuke ukuthi sikuphi sendani sitibukise sedvute letinombolo sibuke ukuthi bobani laba labasatfola i-AIDS bobani laba sabulawa i-AIDS nguphi lapha kunetikhebe sikhona nguphi lapho ufuna sifike khona. So siqubulo sethu salonyaka sisikhumbuta kwekuthi kufuna sibuke letikhebesi letibanga kubandlululwa kwalonke ihlobo kubandlulula abantu ngoba kumbe bakholelwa lokunye kubandlulula abantu ngoba kunetintfo letitsite lesingathi jwayele letingafanani nebantu bonke. Lapha sibuka ukuthi kubede nje libandlululo lapha emsebentini lesiwendako ngiko lo lokusibangela tikhebesi. Kodwa lokukhulu sifuna kubuka kakhulu emantfombatana ngoba siyabona kwekuthi la kulaba labasathola i-AIDS manengi kakhulu emantfombatane kunebafana. Sibuka emantfombatane lamancane lasanza kuthomba sibuka bomake labasebancane sibuka bomake nje ngoba kunengi lapha kubatsinza khona. Siphindze sibuke bantu labaphila nekhubateka siphindze sibuke labanye bantu eveni lekubonakala sithi khona tindlela lapho bangabandluleka ngako. Siyathi-ke ukuthi lapho sesifike khona noma ngabe sifuna ukuthi ngabe sigubha umkhosi lomkhulu ngeke basibambisako lapha kulomsebenzi nasiwenda lo msebenzi waka AIDS kukhona laba bakamhlabuhlangene baka UN simbonile make lomele i-UNAIDS lapha kukhona bohulumende bemavela hlukene njengohulumende weMelika nePEPFAR lesisebenta nayo ka Global Fund baka EU labakhona kunabo labanye bohulumende nalabanye lesibambisene nabo nje emsebentini lesithandza kubabonga lamhla ukuthi ngabe kasikho la sikhona khona ukube bebangadimiseli bagijime kanye nathi kulendlela lesifuna kuyigijima sisaya embili. So lamuhla lokubalekile lapha ukuthi sicale siucale lo msebenzi. So kuyinjabulo kimi lamuhla ukuthi siqubulo salonyaka nasi bese ngisishito ukuthi sinqoba iAIDS letinye tifo nekubandlulula ukusale siucala lo msebenzi sigubhe silungisele ukugubha losuku lelikhulu lweAIDS mhla ka1 kuDisemba nine bekunene siyabonga umsebenzi ungachubeka.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Sengidawucela ukuthi ungasabuyela etafuleni ndvuna. Can I? Yes. Because now we are getting into the symbolic launch of the World AIDS campaign, Eswatini 2021, and the World AIDS Day. So the Honorable Minister is going to light the candle, and then I am going to be calling groups to receive their light and candles from the Honorable Minister. So the first step would be the Minister lighting the candle. Oh, the Minister. But I think, just one moment, you had requested that they'll do it in front of the banner. Can we arrange, please? Push the banner and it's done here so that people can witness. But don't select banner, Minister. Yes, in front, yes. Doesn't question them, okay? But I'll question them. Please mind that it doesn't fall on the on the recipients of the candles. There she is, the candle. And then the first group, the minister will hold the candle, and I'll call the groups that will take a candle and light from the minister and then take a picture. So the first group that I will ask is the high table with the excellencies, the ambassadors and the UNAIDS rep. Excellencies, the PS Health and the Nature Director. They come, please give them candles, you light and stand next to the minister. You light from the minister's one. If yours doesn't light, we don't know how to interpret that. Then you stand next to the minister with the lit candle. So you light and you stand next to the minister. Manin don't announce that. Manin don't announce that. Man. Okay. So as a program director, I'm going to ask PS's colleague, and Silwan and Gogo to join this, light their candle. And then you stand next to Mr. Mabuza, this side. Gogo is nature at home. Yes, stand here. A round of applause. They have taken the challenge. Thank you very much. You go with your candles to your tables and the light to your offices. Thank you. Please, camera people, be quick. There's many groups coming to light their candles. No paparazzi, official ones. Thank you very much. You go back to your table with your candle. The next group is people living with disability. Can they come and pick their candles and light and stand next to the minister receiving? Can we be fast? Okay, light the candle. Light the candle. Little candle, I'm long. Are we all there now? No, no, no. Okay, they've received the candle for World AIDS commemoration. A round of applause. Ambana Senators World AIDS commemoration. I'm now going to ask the regional secretaries and regional coordinators. Please, can we do that? And you stand next to the minister, you light, stand next to the minister. These are the faces responsible for those dates and events in the regions. If we don't see anything happening, these are the faces we'll look at. A round of applause they have received. Thank you very much. The next group 4 will include partners, Parliament, AHF, Kango, Pichak, SUSA. Take this AHF and light and stand. We just divided this group because it's big. Oh. Oh. Kusetela manye mapapa. Kusetela enye list. Kuseta group 5. I've not left you behind. You are still coming as group 5. Swapcha, you are still coming in the next group, Tobile. The group is too big, so it was divided. Did any candle, did we see anyone that couldn't light the candle? Oh, everyone is succeeding. Stand here. A round of applause they've received and agreeing to the work. You take your candles and the light to the offices and your circles of influence. Group 5, there is people living with HIV, the Church Forum, Amical, Kulisa Mthana Swabicha, Editors Forum, Ministry of Housing, Limco King, FOTSA, and other partners. FOTSA sawengcile, ngilokuthi kisi-editor Mlibe. Who has not been called? The media, they were almost silent. What about the musicians? Bona malungelo bona abendile khandlela. Kuyathula leka entertainment. Namalungelo, no dodging, you need to do the work. Yes, light your candle. This is for accountability so that we check you when you don't do anything. Okay, there. A round of applause. They've received the responsibility. Take the candles to your work, back to the table to your work and your spheres of influence. The media, they have not taken, I can see. SBIS, Penwell. Oh, they're refusing to take a responsibility. Oh, they're here. Go and light. Oh. And those on camera, okay, you are represented. So our media is committing to cover okay, a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Minister. So this speaker's candle is going to the health sector. The minister is taking it to the office. Can someone hold the minister, please? Now she's in the candle. A round of applause marking the end of an important event and the symbol that we indeed have started the campaign for 2021. Siyayinqoba i-HIV, ending inequalities, ending AIDS, ending pandemics. So that's the theme. So at this stage, we come to the last item on the agenda, the closing prayer. After the prayer, there are refreshments being served, and the ushers are going to lead the high table to where they are going to have their refreshments. Otherwise, the rest of us, they are outside, you take and bring back to the table. I've not seen people sanitize though. In the COVID days, how can we sit comfortably and not sanitize? The tables don't have, but you need to have yours. Yeah, Sengbon. The tables have some. Where are the personal ones? When you go out of this room, the one on the table will remain here. Here are your personal ones. Singoba ma pandemics. I've not seen there at the back, I've not seen people sanitize. So let's remember to do that. Singoba ne COVID in these days. So at this juncture, may I invite Sydney Nkambule to do the closing prayer, and thank you very much for your cooperation as we did this work. Siyabonga kakhulu. So it will be the closing item. After that, please escort the high table to the refreshments area. Siyabonga.
Honorable Minister, before I forget anyone, may I be allowed to say all protocol observed. Thank you, Program Director. This is my scone. I don't know in English how to put it. My sister-in-law. She is the wife to my other brother from another mother. So you can imagine that how related we are. Allow me, Program Director, to just say a few words of appreciation on behalf of Nature, specifically to our partners whom we have worked with very well and whom we have achieved all the 95s you can think of and all the 95s you can count. It is not through Nature's efforts or capability or ability to do things, but it is through the teamwork and the effort you have put together. May I quote one verse in the Bible which says, as they were building the temple of the Lord, they were in one accord. As Nature, we have seen the cooperation, the partnership we have achieved with the partners. You can mention AHF, PEPFAR, all the partners, PSHAC from government, SWAPCHA from the private sector, and everyone. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, may I request that we give ourselves a round of applause. One of the good things when we are getting old, you become wiser. And the problem with that, you tend to speak and yet you have been asked to come and pray. That's the problem when you are getting older. So I'm tempted to speak for another 20, 30 minutes. However, I will say thank you so much to everyone. This is the beginning of the work. Minister has just launched the World AIDS Day for 2021. This is the beginning. Wherever you are in that, wherever you have time, the little moment you have, please say something about HIV. Yes, we have COVID, but HIV still matters, and we are still to end AIDS. Shall we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we just want to say thank you for this wonderful fellowship. Indeed, Lord, it is a fellowship. It is not just a gathering. We understand full well that, Lord, we can gather together, but if you are not there, nothing will prosper. Father, in you there is direction. In you there is guidance. We thank you, Father, for this wonderful work that you have presented to us this morning. We say, Abba, Father, thank you, Lord. As we are about to depart, Lord, please help each and every one of us to remind whosoever we come across that HIV still matters, and we have the obligation and the task to end AIDS. Father, without you, we cannot achieve that. Father, we don't want to forget the achievement that we have received. It is not through our strength, but it is through your mercy and grace. Father, bless this food we are going to eat now, and Father, protect us as we are going in different directions. Some are going as far as Shiselo, and some are going to the furthest part of the world. Protect us, Lord. Guide us on the road. We thank you, Father. We bless you. We give you all the honor. We give you all the praise. Amen.
Thank you very much, Baba Sydney.